guys, welcome back. So today we're reviewing the Imperial Red. My first time making one. I'm super stoked to try it. I love Imperial Reds.
We talked about this, I feel like maybe before you even brewed it, because we had done
like, because
Imperial
you
stuff.
named it.
Oh, it was supposed to be Broken Stitches.
It still is. That's what it is.
Can
on
it
my
be like
grandfather.
Or could it be like Santa's Stitches?
Anyway. Alright, move forward.
Oh, cheers. So,
hopefully my CO2 lasts long enough to pour these.
What I remember when we were talking about this is the concept of Imperial was something that we went back and forth that ultimately, literally all it means is higher alcohol and usually higher hops. So in the Imperial Reds, the reds that I've normally had, they tend to be almost IPA-like in terms of like...
There's not much.
That's okay, you know, I like undercarbonated beers.
Well, there. I made you some.
Perfect. Give me some head. So I theoretically would be expecting for an Imperial Red for a very hoppy, like balanced malty and hoppy situation,
so
right?
let's do appearance. It is red.
It is red. It is a little cloudy. It's not completely translucent.
Yeah, it's cloudy. It's pretty young still. So all that sediment will drop
away
eventually. Yeah, it's just the longer it sits. I didn't fine it, so
what does that mean?
I didn't put anything in it to make all the stuff drop out.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, you can use gelatin like Jello gelatin.
J-E-L-L-O.
The head is super like creamy colored.
And
it's like
not
tan.
what I expected.
Yeah, the smell, like you get alcohol, but it almost smells like a Belgian.
It's like desserty.
Quad.
It's almost desserty.
Yeah. It smells very sweet.
Okay.
Just so you guys, this is 9.7%, 9.7. I think we were going for like 8 something, but it is not that. So, you know how I always shoot higher than expected.
Smells seasonal almost.
Yeah, it smells pretty Belgian-y, which is weird because I used a Calen.
That's my word.
It is. It totally is your word. We just had a conversation about that. It's weird that it has like a phenol smell because I used California ale yeast and I fermented it pretty cold. I fermented it at 65 degrees. So it technically should be clean, but this is a, the yeast I used is a couple generations old. So it may, yes, it may have picked up some different yeasts too, like throughout the process of just harvesting and everything. It's probably not like a true California ale yeast anymore.
But it does not taste like I expected it to. That's so good.
It's very sweet. It's so malty.
It's so malty, but you
get bitterness on the end.
Yeah, you taste the green of the hops, if that makes sense.
Like the vegetal-ness?
Vegetal-ness?
Yeah, that's a new word. Vegetal-ness.
I can taste the vegetal-ness. I don't even know about vegetal-ness. I think more herbaceousness.
Yeah. Well, I believe I used Northern Brewer hops, which, you know, they're not a super fruity hop. It's more of like pine, herbs, spice kind of hoppy.
It's a little Christmassy.
Yeah. It's you know, it's more of a like subtle hop, I think, than like Citra or Cascade.
It doesn't punch you in the face. It's not crazy bitter. It's not crazy citrusy. It does have some of the herbal notes, but I really like with the malt that it is almost desserty. It's got kind of like, if you think about like the crispy, crunchy top of like a crumble on an apple cobbler.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? Like brown sugar and like when it, but like a little bit burnt.
It does have like a brown sugar vibe.
Or like brown sugar, burnt caramel.
Yeah.
Cinnamon.
You know what?
Dude, this is perfect for today.
I used like a bunch of caramel 60, I believe is what I used. And like, I mean, given the name caramel, it makes sense that like you're basically caramelizing the sugars within the malt. So it makes sense that it would have kind of caramely taste.
But you keep saying sweet, and I agree that there is definitely sweet notes, but it's not cloying. It doesn't have
it's not cloying at all. It's more so like if balance was here and bitter was here and sweet was here, I'd say it's like right here. You know, usually I think I end up right here.
I think it depends on the beer. I think you find balance really well most of the time. This is
not my
this
IPAs.
This for me is very different than most of the beers of yours that I've tried.
This reminds me more of an like the Oktoberfest that I made than anything. But I think it's just the malt forwardness.
Maybe, and the Oktoberfest was lighter bodied.
Yeah.
But this still...
Yeah, for sure.
Today
and
is like
much lighter alcohol.
Today is like a cold, brisk LA day.
It's all of 70 degrees.
No, it's like 57.
It was 65 at like 10 a.m.
With a wind chill of 57.
Okay.
I say in flip-flops and a short
I know.
Yeah,
Pants were a struggle today, even still.
And actually, you don't even know if she's wearing them.
That's true. I think you might see them.
She's wearing pants, just no shoes.
I have shoes on now.
What a miracle. She's the shoeless brewless.
The shoeless brewless.
The shoeless Brewster. Schuster Brewster.
Schuster Brewster.
Brewster shoeless? Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from? Shoeless brewer. No, cut that one
That
out.
was terrible.
Shooting that? Nope.
Nope.
Just wait for the Christmas carols, guys. It's gonna be great.
Oh God.
Um,
I'm just happy I haven't heard any yet.
Can I ask a potentially dumb question? I think I know the answer, and if I am right in what I'm predicting, it's because you've taught it to me.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask the question, and then I'm gonna try to answer it. And this is gonna be a Sarah Flora education to me pop quiz. So my initial question was gonna be, what makes it red? Because it's not like you're adding food coloring. So my hypothesis is the color comes mostly from the malt.
100% from the malt.
So you could not have used, like you can use the same hops through a whole different types of beers based on how long you cook, how much you use, blah, 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 blah. Specifically this malt you could not use in like a lager or a blonde because it would partake those, or it would impart those colors, correct? Kind of?
I think your idea of a lager is limiting you because an Oktoberfest is a lager.
Oh, that's true.
But like
basically
this is like almost the same malt build as a Oktoberfest.
But
okay, to be fair,
if you're
it's
going
more
color wise,
yeah,
you could not make a blonde with these malts.
Only the base malt, but like the way you get the colors, you add like a caramel malt. So the caramel malts are here. Let me grab some.
Because this is gonna feed into a second question, and while you're grabbing that, I'm gonna feed into this. We were recently talking about a golden stout, so I'd like to also lead this into stouts. I understand, like you toast the malt, you toast the grain. That's part of the color, correct? Well, I'm not gonna ask yes or no. I'm curious to lead this into the coloring of dark beers, black IPAs, things like that, and then how you can do those same exact beers with a different color. So these are caramel malts. Can I smell it?
You should eat it.
Eat it?
They're sweet.
It tastes like
cereal.
Honey Nut Cheerios. Not Teddy Grahams. What are like the?
Oh, it tastes like
those little square.
Yeah. It's shredded wheat.
No.
Okay, that's what
yes, I see that. But isn't there a cereal that's like?
Graham cracker.
Hold on.
Things. Anyway, this is caramel 60. And this is what I used mainly. I think I used a whole pound of it in this. And I also used some Crystal 135 to make the color. So, like, the number that you're seeing and hearing me talk about is the level of darkness, basically. And just, that's how you kind of determine how dark your beer is going to be.
Honey Smacks!
I haven't had those. I thought those were shaped like honeycomb.
They are not. That's honeycomb.
Oh, okay. I'm not a huge cereal person.
I didn't get a lot of sugary cereal growing up, but like I would eat it as a snack. Like we didn't eat it for breakfast, but it was my after school snack. What Honey Smacks? It's the frog was the logo.
Yeah.
And they almost look like pecans. That's what that tastes like. See if you agree. Interesting.
Yeah, they're good. So basically, these are sweeter than like a base malt would be. A base malt, you would have to chew more and like let the enzymes in your mouth dissolve the sugars to make them sweet. This is already sweet because this is cooked.
That's what so is there only one kind? There's not one kind of malt. There's multiple different plants.
There's like there's two kinds of malt essentially that we use. There's 6-row malt or 6-row it's all barley. And there's 6-row barley, and then there's 2-row barley. So,
so does this grow like
it
like
looks
grain, like straw?
Yeah.
Like, where it's got like the
yeah, you know how wheat looks?
That's what
it kind of looks the same.
So those are the things on the ends that blow around and give you allergies?
Yeah. But yeah, it just, so the differences in malt is more how it's cooked and how it's treated after it's harvested, because it's all basically the same thing when it's harvested. Versus like hops, you have different like varieties of the plant, because hops are basically all processed the same. Just like you can have like pellets, whole cone or whatever, but it doesn't change the taste really.
And hops I think I've seen a lot more of. So thinking of hops as a
like
plant,
you know what that
naturally,
plant is. But yeah, like this is just grain essentially. And you can also have malted wheat. Do you want to taste some malted wheat? I actually don't know what that
So
tastes
is to
like.
malt a wheat a process?
Yeah, so what malting is, it's basically you germinate the seed. So this is really hard when it's not germinated. So you germinate the seed to make the seedling grow a little bit, and then you dry it out to stop all the processes. You what?
So, thing I learned, apparently, and I'm gonna Google this before we finish because we wanna be right when you put it on YouTube.
Okay.
Ingredients, barley. So malt is not a plant.
No.
So the ingredient is barley, malting is the process?
Yeah. Or wheat is the ingredient and malting is the process. That's why malt, it like encompasses all the grains essentially, because like a lot of people use wheat as well as barley, but it's all considered malt.
So this is like when you take a jalapeno and you dry it, there's a different name for it?
Yeah.
Or like how a prune is a plum?
Yeah, exactly.
I thought we were speaking about a specific plant.
No, malt is not a plant.
Okay, so prune is a plum, malt is a grain that's been treated.
Mm-hmm. So funny. I always forget what people don't know.
I've always thought about malt as a separate ingredient, not a treated ingredient. So like in a wheat ale, it's the same ingredient, but it hasn't been malted, correct? Or it's been less malted or whatever.
A wheat ale?
Yeah, like if you do a wheated, like
it would be a malted wheat. I have raw wheat and it is hard as rocks.
Do you ever use unmalted or uncooked wheat?
Only when you order it by accident, because it'll strip your mill. Like, unless you actually, like, people use them for gozes, I think. But I just prefer malted wheat in general.
100% I thought malt was a separate ingredient, that you would add barley or wheat or whatever your grain was that you were making the beer from, and you would add malt. And I understand that, yes, there's still like a balancing act of those different. To malt is a process. Mind blown. Blown.
Yeah.
Because to cook something, the concept of caramelizing or bringing out the natural sugars,
Yeah.
I understand that from a cooking perspective.
You know how, like, you can buy, like, sprouted grain bread?
Yeah, but I hate it, so I don't eat it.
Well, that's kind of what the process of malting is. So you sprout the grain, and then you dry it out, and then it's just available. So it makes the sugars more available, so that when you soak it in water, like hot water for an hour, it's more like oatmeal than like if you actually had the raw grains. Like you start out with basically what you make flour with, but like think about how you grind flour. It's got to be dry. So it makes it more wet. And then you cook it out, you cook the liquid out, but it's still, it's just more accessible.
This makes again, thinking about to help me understand it, I'm thinking about like, if you do Mexican or Asian cooking and you start with dried peppers, but you soak them, or mushrooms that have been dried, you still rehydrate.
Yeah.
But the flavor is still different than raw.
Yeah.
Because when you dehydrate, when you caramelize, when you roast or do anything, it changes the flavor, and I get that as thinking about ingredients that I'm more familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
To rehydrate changes the texture, but it still maintains that intensified. How cool! Learning. So shifting, stouts get that color because the grain's been super toasted.
Yep, that's it.
So how do you do a golden stout?
You remove the dark stout. So you would use typically you would use something like a caramel 10. This is caramel 60, so caramel 10 is significantly lighter, but it's still sweet. People also use like flaked wheat, flaked oats to give it that body. And you'll just use like a light 2-row malt, which is like almost colorless. And yeah, that's basically it.
But it is more complicated, correct?
No. Dialing in the flavor is a little more complicated because like stouts are so obvious, like what you need to put in, and you get all the flavor from the malt itself, but you need to get some like astringency from it. So a lot of people do like soaked coffee beans, but not ground, or chocolate nibs, like cocoa nibs.
Yeah, Modern Times does a whole huge variation on their coffee stouts.
Yeah, so you're trying to get like the chocolatey roastiness of a stout in a lighter colored beer. So you kind of have to play with flavors a little bit more and use like, I mean, you know, you can use, I just realized I had a bunch of these. Where do I? Like, you know, you can use cocoa nibs soaked in alcohol. Like you can soak these in vodka and add it as a tincture to give it a chocolate taste. You can use, I have a friend who just made a coffee blonde, but he didn't grind the beans. He just soaked them in
Were they
dry
roasted or
hop.
were they raw?
They were roasted.
Okay.
Soaked.
That sounds more
and
delicious.
it tastes just like coffee.
Who was it? In LA, there's a brewery that did a coffee lemon sour that initially I thought was going to be McKellar.
Their raspberry blush, the coffee raspberry, is my favorite.
So McKellar was one of my like introductions into sours. It's I think what taught me that like
it's a good intro because they're not too sour too.
they have a range.
Mm-hmm.
But when I learned that I liked sours, it was the fruited sours. Like I really enjoyed those tart, summery, fruit forward, whatever. So I am a coffee drinker, and then I was told a coffee.
Yeah,
it's
it sounds
delicious.
gross, but it's
No,
so
it's
good.
so
They
good.
balance it so well. It's like just a hint of coffee, just enough coffee to like give it some depth, but
It's like
most of the
aromatic.
fruit, yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, big fan of that.
I think they closed one of their tasting.
They closed the downtown one.
What a shame. I think the answer is whatever you did with this one, write this down because I feel like this will be a good winter brew.
Yeah. This would be fun with some like spices added to and make it like a Christmas ale almost.
It's already hinting on that, but it's perfect for pre-Thanksgiving.
This almost reminds me of the, I want to say it's Sierra Nevada's Christmas ale.
Not familiar.
I got a
I'm gonna go ahead and say it's
Mel.
way better.
But I think they add spices, but it tastes like the basis of this. Also, for this being 9.7%, it does not taste like it, but it does feel like it.
To drink. Oh, it goes straight to my head.
Mm-hmm.
Good thing I don't have to drive home.
Careful down those death stairs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad this one was a success.
This one was definitely a hit. I might have to revisit this a few times here in the near future. You should share this recipe, guys. This is really good.
Yeah, this one turned out really good. I think I'm gonna make like a hoppier version of this too, because I do love a really hoppy red, but
Well,
you know,
sure.
my reputation with hops is not going great right now, so
Your
it's gonna be
reputation
a
with
slow phrasing.
Your reputation with accidental deliciousness is impeccable. I said that before I
Drank half the keg.
I'm so sorry.
We're so stupid.
Still funny though.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Like and subscribe. I've got a Patreon going. If you want to get ad-free videos, early videos, merch, happy hour, shout outs, go ahead and click the link above and join. I will see you guys next time. Happy brewing.
Fucking windy as shit.
Oh, it's raining. It's raining for the first time in 6 months.
It rained last night.
Come on, just give it to me.
So I was staring at you. It was actually really disorienting because like trying to focus on you and seeing the trees moving so dramatically behind you was actually really disorienting.